Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans! I'm Kelly One Shot, and this is the Post Crisis Podcast. And today, we will be covering Justice League number 27 from DC Comics, written by James Tynion IV, with artwork by Javier Fernandez and Bruno Redondo. Okay, so we actually start this story off where we left off in the last issue, where Martian Manhunter walked up to this house and seemingly he was looking for Lex Luthor, but he was surprised to find Lionel Luthor, or that's just kind of how it seems, and he was kind of like snuck up on, captured, attacked, and we start this issue off where Martian Manhunter is kind of like reliving memories he had from when he was a younger Martian and he was being experimented on by Lionel Luthor, and he had all these projects and experiments that he was testing on Martian Manhunter, and that his psychic powers were being blocked and controlled, and that there was only one person who was willing to help him and to set him free and to give him back his life, and that was actually a young boy who was Lex Luthor as a kid, who actually let the Martian Manhunter go well back when. But the Martian Manhunter doesn't really know if this is a dream or reality, what's going on. He's being experimented on, he's captured, but he knows that it's more than this. He knows that Lionel's dead, and he knows that's in the past, and he's just trying to figure out how to escape the situation. And then he actually sees Lionel Luthor seemingly experimenting on him, and he doesn't know what to do here, and he's kind of trying to break out of his cell, and he eventually does, and he confronts Lionel Luthor, and he attacks him, and he actually then rips off his face, and it reveals that there's a robot there, and we actually find out who this robot is and who has actually captured the Martian Manhunter, and that is actually Professor Ivo. Has been hired by the Legion of Doom to experiment on the Martian Manhunter and work on a secret project which is continuing something that Lionel Luthor was doing back when he was working with Vandal Savage and Vandal's Legionnaires well back when, and that is he is experimenting on a human-Martian hybrid creature, which is actually the same creature that Perpetua started to create and build her army with to combat the judges of the Source and to go after the beings who are stronger than her. Is this perfect hybrid creation of Martian and human DNA. Okay, on the other end of the story, in Nil, which is actually where the Monitor is from, we see the Justice League and the World Forger looking for the Monitor, and Superman says that he's been here before, and that the Monitors lived here before the final crisis, and that they're looking for the Monitor, obviously. And then we kind of see this, like, brief little description about several crises that happen in the DC universe. It says that the multiverse was once infinite, but due to the crisis set in motion by my brother, the Anti-Monitor, it collapsed into a singular universe, a singular history. That is until another crisis shattered that history back open. What had been infinite was contained to 52 universes, and my brother, the original Monitor, was reborn, splintered into many aspects. It was not until the Dark Multiverse rose that he began to reform his true self. And then we actually see the Monitor appears and he says that, yes, I have reformed, and I was only reformed just in time to be captured by that Dark Nightmare and tortured. And what was going on? They actually kind of talk about this. They talk about Perpetua and how the universe is worth fighting for, that this multiverse is worth saving, but they don't know what to do. And the Monitor is talking to them all about this, and he's saying how the judges are coming here, and that once they came here and gave us help, but the World Forger says that was a long time ago when our multiverse was in its infancy, but now it's grown and it's broken, and he doesn't think that the judges of the sources will save them this time, that they'll actually deem them unworthy. So they have a plan, and they need the Monitor, they need the Anti-Monitor. So here is where the Justice League and the World Forger talk to the Monitor and kind of convince him that they need to work together here. And there is a little part where the Monitor talks to Barry Allen specifically, and he says, Barry, you most of all must still feel the echoes from all of the crises, the chill of death. Is that what you've come here chasing? And then we see Barry kind of like shocked about this because he kind of feels it, but he doesn't really know all of what he's feeling, and that is he's feeling a echo of the events that killed him in Crisis on Infinite Earths well back when, and we actually see a redrawn picture of that, and Barry doesn't really, He can't fully remember, but he knows that he feels an echo of what they're talking about. The Monitor says that they don't even remember all that they've lost. How can we trust them to stop their mother Perpetua? Do you realize how powerful she's grown already? How much more powerful she will gain in the future? What hope is there? And then Superman tells the Monitor that the hope is that together we might all make a difference. And there's this like shining light behind Superman, and it looks really positive and hopeful here in this. And the World Forger actually tells his brother that he tried to forge a whole new multiverse to replace this one, but that didn't work. So he's here to give this a shot, and he's here to join the Justice League. And he asks the Monitor if he's willing to join up in this cause. He seemingly does, and then he says that we need to find the anti-Monitor. We need to go to beyond creation to the anti-matter universe, and it's there where we'll find the anti-Monitor. Hopefully, we then go back into Professor Ivo's lab, where we see Martian Manhunter being experimented on by Professor Ivo as he's gathering some of the Martian's DNA. He has his Amazo robot here to help contain the Martian, and he actually talks about the army that he is trying to create from the two fused DNAs. He doesn't really know that it's from Perpetua, but he knows that this is the work that Lionel Luthor gave to it. Well, Lex acquired this work, but then Lex gave it to Dr. Ivo here so he could build this army of apex predators, is what he's choosing to call them, and that they're greater than any of his pathetic Amazo robots who are just like a mix of man and machine, but that this Martian human hybrid is going to be a greater thing. But then actually, as this is happening and Martian Manhunter is being experimented on, Hawkgirl comes in, smashes up some Amazo robots. She's here to save the day. She frees John. Then a bunch of Amazos come in here, ready to fight. And then we actually go to the Hall of Justice, where we see Mera, and we see the potential child of Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter from that future 6th dimension in that last story arc that we had. And it's here that the child is actually questioning his own existence. Mera is drawn away to a different issue that she has to go help, not the Ray Palmer Atom, but the other Atom with here. And then this child kind of doubts his existence. He doesn't really know if he's really real or not. He feels like he exists, but he doesn't know because he's from an alternate timeline, a fake multiverse that was blinked out of reality in a second. And then Starman actually comes up here. He's seemingly feeling a lot better because we've seen him in really bad shape in the last issue here. But he talks to the kid and he tells him, he actually pinches his cheek, and the kid's like, "Oh, what was that for?" And he's like, "I was just checking to see if you really existed. That must mean that you do." And then he gets the kid to kind of warm up and smile, and then he actually says that he's here to, he needs his help for something. He's looking into the possibilities that exist and all this other great little things or whatever. And so the two of them go and do something. We don't know quite yet. I'm sure we'll find out in the next issue. We then go back to Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter, where the two of them are fighting the Amazos. Martian Manhunter wonders how Hawkgirl found him, and she's like, "Yo, I was once the leader of a spy organization. It doesn't seem like any of you guys really remember that, because she was Lady Blackhawk during the DC Dark Knight's Metal storyline, and she was leading this organization, finding all the world's nth metal and destroying it, and this and that, and several other things as she looked for her husband, Hawkman." But I digress. The two of them are fighting the Amazo robots, which are falling apart instantly, and we actually see that these Amazos are unfinished, they're unrefined. It shouldn't be possible for them to be damaged this quickly, but it's actually because he was unbuilding them and taking their parts to build something else. And after they destroy a bunch of the Amazo robots, they walk into this other room where we see different prototypes and early versions of the Apex Predator army. Then we see Dr. Ivo here dealing with his army, and Martian Manhunter rages out. He attacks Dr. Ivo. It's actually revealed that that was a robot that Ivo is speaking through. He doesn't care. He wants to know where Luthor is now because he knows Lex is still alive. He crushes and destroys the robot, but then Hawkgirl convinces him to leave. She's trying to get John to come back with her and to go help the League, but John says that he still has to find Lex. He's still in search of him, and Hawkgirl freaks out. She's like, "Yo, I know that there's still a part of you that thinks that you can bring back Lex and you can bring back that boy who saved your life, but he's gone. This is the reality. He chose this path. This is his legacy, and he's going to set the world on fire, and he's going to turn everything towards doom. Lex is dead. The rest of us are still alive, and we need to fight together to help, and we need Martian Manhunter's help. The two of them then look up in the sky and they see a mini version of the Legion of Doom's base as it comes down and lands in front of Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter, and Martian Manhunter knows that this must be something to do with Lex Luthor and that he's been watching them the whole time. And then a message actually plays from the ship and it says, "I have, and I appreciate you cleaning up this little mess for me." So Lex clearly didn't want Ivo actually working on this Apex army, and it was a good thing for him, apparently, that Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl took out this little experiment and got rid of this Ivo project here. Either way, Martian Manhunter's like, "Lex, you're still alive," and then the message says, "Oh, I'm more than, and you'll never find me." And he says, "Actually, I have an offer for you, John Jones of Mars. I can give you exactly what you're looking for. I can give you me." So Lex is going to offer something to Martian Manhunter in the next issue. He's probably going to try to get Martian Manhunter to join his cause and try to persuade him in some way to help out with this army and to help out with Perpetua. We'll see in the next issue. I don't know. Either way, I thought this issue was pretty good. It kind of progresses the story a little bit. It was good to see all these callbacks to the different crises. It was cool to see that Dark Knight's Metal was referenced, because that actually shows that Snyder and Tynion are working together on this long-term plan to build towards something bigger, and that even in Dark Knight's Metal, where we saw the Monitor being captured by the Batman Who Laughs, it really didn't have much to do with that story, but that's probably a pawn piece that was set early on by Snyder to be played now here in this Justice League story. So it's cool to see that forethought that was put into this story arc, and which is actually surprising because this issue was written by Tynion, but I believe he had some work with Metal too with Scott Snyder. Either way, I love this. I thought the artwork was a little inconsistent because they did have two artists jumping back and forth with one another, but overall it didn't ruin anything too much, and some of the artwork was really great in it. I did a review for this, a written review, on comicbooklegions.com. You can check that out. Check out all the other weekly reviews and weekly podcasts that are on that website. I am there full-time now. Either way, I'm Kelly One Shot. Take care, have a great day, and goodbye!